Are you ready to make a difference in the lives of others? If so, then you should consider becoming a recovery coach. Recovery coaches are trained to help people in recovery, seeking recovery, or struggling with addiction. They provide support, guidance, and resources to help people on their recovery journey. CCAR Training is the leading provider of recovery coach training programs. Our programs are designed to teach you the skills and knowledge, what we call the science, while giving you an understanding of your own art needed to be a successful recovery coach. We offer a variety of training options, most offered online. If you're interested in becoming a recovery coach or just learning more, I encourage you to visit our website or contact us today. We would be happy to answer any questions you have and help you get started on your journey to becoming a recovery coach. We hope you'll visit us at www.addictionrecoverytraining.org to learn more.
Are you in the recovery field and looking to expand your knowledge of the many pathways to recovery? Do you want to network with the nation's leading recovery leaders? If so, then the Multiple Pathways of Recovery Conference is for you. CCAR, Recovery Iowa, and the Iowa Department of Health and Human Services are bringing the message of multiple pathways to our friends in the Midwest. Join us August 21st through the 23rd at the Embassy Suites in Des Moines, Iowa for the National Recovery Conference, where we share and educate one another about the many different pathways, methods, practices, programs, and belief systems recoveries can use to enhance their recovery journey and sustain long-term recovery. Whether it's a 12-step, secular, a spiritual religious modality, medication-assisted recovery, or wellness-based and sober active communities, we've got you covered. At MPRC, you'll have the opportunity to connect with the recovery community, broaden your knowledge of the multiple pathways, and be refreshed in your journey of recovery, whatever that may be. So don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Tickets are on sale now at ccarconference.org. That's ccarconference.org. The Multiple Pathways to Recovery Conference, the National Recovery Conference, where all pathways to recovery meet.
This conference is brought to you by CCAR, Recovery Iowa, paid for by state opioid response funds, the Iowa Department of Health and Human Services Bureau of Substance Use via sub-award from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Join us on the Recovery Matters podcast, where we celebrate the power of resilience and explore multiple pathways to recovery.
My name is Tiffany. I'm 33 years old. I have been a drug addict for most of my life, since I was younger. I grew up with my father, my stepmother, and my two brothers. My father was very strict. When I was 11 years old, I was sexually molested by my grandfather. I think at the time I didn't know it, but I didn't really feel heard in my household. My father was a disciplinary, and I turned to the outside world, the social scene, the kids who really were getting in trouble. I sought for their attention to feel something inside that I was missing. I experimented at the age of 14 with marijuana and alcohol. I started smoking cigarettes at 16. As I got older, I finished high school. I ran away from home and came to Connecticut from Florida to finish high school, looking for my biological mother, who I didn't know who she was. She just was never there. I never knew her to be a part of my life. I didn't know what she looked like. So I came to Connecticut through family members to look for her when I was 16. At the age of 16, I joined a gang, just trying to fill that empty space. And I was looking for in all the wrong places. So at that point, I was just recreationally using marijuana and alcohol and stuff like that. So I finished high school when I got here. During that time, I experimented with cocaine, Molly, PCP. When I was in college, 18, 19, I was going to Barron Institute of Technology for auto body technician. And I was working at Home Depot. And that's when I started doing more ecstasy. And anytime I did drugs, it wasn't just, I could never just do it socially like everybody else. I didn't realize I had a problem then. And it got really out of control to where I dropped out of college. I then was in a car accident when I was 20, almost 21, from drinking and driving. I had broke my neck and I had whiplash. So this was before they had laws for opioid dependency, and it was Dr. Feelgoods everywhere, and it was about money, and I didn't know it at the time, but this was before the epidemic. So I was in physical therapy, and they gave me a prescription for Percocets. It started with 5, and then it went up as the year or two progressed on physical therapy. By that point, I was completely dependent on Percocet. I couldn't wake up without it. I couldn't sleep without it. I couldn't function without it. I couldn't think without it. I was never made aware of, the dangers of it and the risks that I was taking by abusing it. I didn't even realize I was abusing it at the time. So when it was time to come off, the doctor never explained to me, the prescriber never explained to me what physical dependency was. And I became very, very sick. I was disoriented. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I physically was sick. So I was in Hartford, and there was a car that drove by with some guys in it, and they could visibly see that I was sick, and I don't think I realized the magnitude of what was going on with my body and with the opioids, and they offered me a solution, which was heroin at the time. And this was after 2 years, so I was probably 23, 24 now. So I sniffed a bag of dope, and it just made me like regular. I didn't get sick. I wasn't tired. I was normal again. So that's when that took off, and I sniffed dope for quite a few years. I broke the law a lot. I got into a lot of life-threatening car accidents. I was an escort for many years, prostitution, anything that I could do for the drug, I did. I sold every part of me for the high, chasing that high. I did a lot of things that I'm not proud of. In my 20s, when I was using the heroin, I was also, smoking crack, sniffing coke, smoking PCP, drinking. That's what I lived for. I think I became obsessed with the numbness of it, or feeling alive by not feeling, and it became the only thing that mattered. I went to prison. I did 3 years in prison because of some of the choices I made for possession of narcotics, and now I'm a convicted felon. And I just want to go back real quick to throughout my teen years when I came here to Connecticut. Some of the things that I was dealing with were mental health related, depression, anxiety, suicide attempt, which thank God I was almost successful, unfortunately. But I just felt like suicide was the way out because I couldn't bring myself from the darkness with the drugs, and I just felt like it was just better to just give up. Okay, fast forward back to my 20s, when now I'm using heroin and all types of drugs. I went to prison. I was clean for that time. When I came home from prison, I was successful. I completed parole. I got married. I had a family. I was working. I had a really good job. Everything was great until it wasn't. I was introduced to fentanyl, because fentanyl wasn't out before I went to prison, but it was when I came out, and everything was fentanyl. And I remember I was going through a divorce, so I was separated and I was alone, and I called the wrong person, who came and brought me a bag of fentanyl. I overdosed that night. I was blue. They had to Narcan me a few times. That was my first time exposed to Narcan. I woke up with the medical staff and the fire department around me. They took me to the hospital. and it was off to the races. I was trying to feed my habit again. It was almost like I was never clean ever. It just was picking up where I left off. Only my bottom got deeper and darker each time I hit bottom. I was, sniffing dope and coke and all that until it came to a point where financially I didn't have enough to hold me over from being sick. So that's when I started using a needle, and I started IV because it would hold me a little longer. That was a whole separate obsession and addiction than just the high and just the drug. I began to shoot up everything, crystal meth, cocaine, fentanyl around the clock. I would do anything for it. There's not much I haven't done to get the drug. I put myself in some very harmful, life-threatening situations. Being a prostitute has an addiction of its own also. The ripping and the running, the using, the lying, the manipulating to get the drug, because that's all that mattered. So I was in the streets. I was homeless. There was days, weeks, months I didn't shower. Days and weeks that I didn't sleep, that I didn't eat. The only thing that I lived for, the only thing that I loved was getting high. And at that point, I was just so miserable, I wasn't even getting high. I've lost so many people to this disease. I don't even think I can count on my hands and yours exactly how many, because it's that many. And there was a point in my addiction where I used to say it's not that bad, or I haven't done this yet, or that yet, or I'm just sniffing it, or I don't know anybody who died, so it can't be that bad. Until it was. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. And I had a friend who I met in my 20s who has been my friend for over 10 years. He was clean for a substantial amount of time, and he tried to get me clean many a times. I've been to numbers of detoxes and rehabs and residentials and outpatients and everything. And before he got me clean, I got him high. The choices and the places that have brought me and the people that I was exposed to because of my addiction and because of the streets and because of the lifestyle and the prostitution and just trying to find my way. I met a lot of dangerous people. And in particular, my friend that I'm talking about crossed paths with somebody else I knew because of my addiction. And this man killed my friend June 5th, 2021. Right in front of me, he stabbed him to death. So, Bob, this is for you. And he lost his life protecting me. Shortly after the murder happened, I did not get clean because it wasn't enough for anything like that to happen. No matter how awful and ugly and traumatic it still wasn't enough. 3 weeks after that, I was walking the streets of Hartford, and now I'm really alone because my only friend here is dead, and he was my rescuer. So now I was on my own, very lost, very broken, into a million pieces. And I got into a car with a guy who was going to pay me for my services because he had drugs. He had good fentanyl and good cocaine, and that's all I cared about. So he took me to Meriden, Connecticut. He was getting high. He was very paranoid, very delusional. He thought somebody stole his stuff. I didn't, but he thought I did. So that was enough. He drove me out to the woods. We pulled up into the woods, and he let me know that this is where he kills people and that I wasn't leaving there. And then he takes out his gun and he hits me in the face. He hits me in the head. I'm bleeding. I'm screaming. He comes out of the car. He rips me out of the car. He strips me naked, and it's cold. It's raining. I see a hill, I want to run, but I know that he's going to shoot me. So I pray because I thought my life was over. But God, so as I'm crying out, trying to bargain with God yet again, that I'll get it right and I'll get it together if I could just live, I talked him into maybe he dropped his drugs at the gas station we were at. So I pled with him. I begged him. He hit me a few more times with a gun. I'm still naked. I get in the car with him. He puts all my belongings in the trunk, my phone, my shoes, so that I can't access them. We take off back to the gas station just to see. As we pull in the gas station, there's a police officer just drinking his coffee in his car. He locked the doors and put the gun next to me and said, "Don't try it." I jumped out. I skid across the pavement and ran to the cop car naked. And I think I just want to express how dark and awful it was. It's all because of that. And then after that incident, I kept running. It still wasn't enough. It still wasn't enough to get me out. Nothing else mattered but the drugs. So I just went right back to what I knew, because I was even more broken than before that, and more broken than before that, and more shattered than before that. And I could not see the light at all at this point. And I really thought that I was going to die like this as an addict. I thought I was going to die in active addiction. I went to a hospital a week before I got clean. My clean date is June 12th, 2022. I was in another very risky situation, very dangerous situation with another man, a new man, just trying to feed my habit. And this man threatened me. He hit me, stripped me naked, wouldn't let me leave. So long story short, the second I ran. The week before this incident that I'm speaking on now, I was in UConn Hospital with a heart infection from an abscess that I had. I was shooting up so much that I was always covered in blood. There was always blood all over my arms. I mean, I have scars everywhere. I don't have any veins anymore. I was shooting up in my neck, in my head, in the back of everywhere. It didn't matter where my toes, my ankles, my feet. I didn't matter. The only thing that mattered was getting that drug in my system. And I think the reason I'm saying that is because even with the abscess and the antibiotics and them, draining it and all that, it still wasn't enough. The infection was in my heart. So I had to see a heart doctor, and they admitted me into the hospital. I had somebody come see me and visit me when I was in one of the rooms on a heart monitor, on an IV, on the strongest antibiotic they offer. And yet I'm still in their bathroom shooting up cocaine and fentanyl. The morning I got clean, I was with this man who stripped me naked, and I ran from him. I ended up getting away. He was running after me. I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was going to drop dead. I had just got out the hospital. I was praying. And as I prayed, the harder I prayed, the further that he took me, the harder I ran, the faster I got away. And then I saw a police officer. And I had been praying for so long for a way out that I knew that he was going to give me the strength when he made that way out, because I knew I didn't have it myself. And when he made that way out, he gave me the strength to follow through and get out. I was so tired. I hadn't slept and God knows how long. I hadn't ate, and I flagged down the cop. I had a couple of warrants from old cases, because nobody goes to court when they're getting high, right? That's no fun. And I flagged him down. I told him, I said, "Listen, I have warrants. I'm an addict. I had blood all over me. I had no clothes on. The sun had just come up. They called the ambulance. I begged them not to let me die. You know, my heart was hurting. I wasn't well physically. And they took me to the hospital. And when I went into the emergency department, they treated me like I wasn't a person. I was so scared. And I was, I needed a hug. Maybe, I don't know. I just needed some type of humanity. And I didn't get it. They ripped my clothes off of me. They proceeded to violate me in a couple of ways. The staff in the emergency room department, they were very unkind. And I was so far gone that I can't even tell you how I made it out through that. And then I got upstairs to a room. I mean, they had me on IV Narcan, and I wasn't overdosing. So if anybody knows what that's like, it's worse than withdrawal. It's worse. I definitely wanted to die. And I had no hope. I didn't know what was going to happen to me. I didn't know if I was ever really going to make it or if this was just my end, And I got upstairs and almost right away they brought a social worker in to see me. Her name was Bethany. And truly God sent me an angel because she was so nice to me. She was so nice to me and compassionate and kind, and she really cared, And like I said before, I had been through many detoxes, many programs, out of state, in state, private insurance, state insurance. I've done it all. And throughout my years of addiction, I overdosed many times. But this time when I was upstairs, I was still physically ill, given everything that I had done to my body. And she helped me. She followed through. She kept her word. She came to see me. She called my family, who hadn't heard from me in so many years because I didn't know how to face them. And the shame and the guilt was so overwhelming that it consumed me. So I just kept using. She helped me. I'm forever grateful. I met Barry from CCAR, Kevin. They came to see me at the hospital. They kept reassuring me that I do matter, and this matters, and my future matters, and it's not too late, and that I can do this. And they motivated me and they encouraged me the entire way. Today I'm 8 months clean. By grace of God, I'm clean. I was on methadone at the hospital. They inducted me into methadone. Bethany set me up with my court cases to deal with my court cases. She had everything lined up, her and Barry. They set me up for a program before court. They did all these things. I didn't do any of it. I mean, I just was in the bed, handcuffed to the bed, just trying to physically feel better. And then I reached out to Bethany because she made a difference, and it changed the whole dynamic and the whole outcome and the road that I was taking to where I am now. I went to App Foundation, door to door. So detox, Harper Hospital, Stonington. I went to recovery house for a week while I waited for my bed at App Foundation. I did 3 months, a little over 3 months at App Foundation. I just left there in December of 2022. So now I'm 8 months clean, and I look forward to a lifetime of it, and I'm hopeful again. And I know that God is restoring my faith step by step. I'm at the Omega Project in Kansas. Who would have thought, right? I'm at the Omega Project. I want to help people because I know addicts aren't easy, but their stories and their struggles are so real. There's somebody's mother, brother, sister, father, no matter what, they're people. And I'm there now, taking classes for ministry, And I just want whoever to know that this is possible. And I'm a walking testimony of that. I'm a breathing miracle right now. Because against all odds, I should not have made it. And no matter the cards that life will deal you, it could all change. It could all be better. It could all be different. And praise God. Praise God, and thank you from the bottom of my heart to CCAR. I love you guys. You will forever be a part of my journey. And it just started. I just started. Amen.
Thanks for listening to the Recovery Matters podcast, brought to you by the Connecticut Community for Addiction Recovery. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast on your favorite listening platform. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Recovery Matters Podcast for more content. You can watch this podcast in video form on our YouTube page, CCAR, 4, Recovery. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to send us an email at recoverymatterspodcast@gmail.com. We'd also love it if you could take a moment to rate our podcast. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.